And welcome back to Touchline Talk on 110 Sports. We're going to get right into our winners and losers here. Our first winner, to me, the biggest winner in Europe this weekend, Atletico Madrid. Couple different reasons. Obviously, beating Barcelona in La Liga is a big deal. Yannick Carrasco scores the lone goal of the game in first half stoppage time, so it changes the complexion going into the break. They're able to see out the game. It puts them 3 points clear of Real Madrid with the game in hand after their result this weekend, and 9 points clear of Barcelona. They're three back of Sociedad at the top of the table, but have 2 games in hand. I said this before this weekend, and getting this win solidifies it. This is absolutely their league to lose. 100%. We're deep enough into this league now. They got one of the Barcelona games out of the way, so you have a limited amount of opportunities available moving forward to get points head to head against Atletico Madrid if you're these other teams competing with them, and B, Atleti's going to be favored in just about every game they play, and you already got one of those out of the way, the few that you're not necessarily going to be. So all you got to do at this point is, even if you get a draw and a loss against Real Madrid and draw Barcelona the second time around, that could very well be enough. All these teams have to start beating them, and that's just nobody's done it so far in La Liga. And they're scoring enough goals, not the way that they were at the beginning of the season, but they're playing so well. João Felix is just doing João Felix things. I am a firm believer in what this team is doing. And to me, this very much has the feel of that 13-14 team, the previous renditions of Simeone, where they were among the best teams in the world. They've taken a step back the past few years. Last year, they just drew what felt like every game, which is why they weren't in the title conversation. But I said this from the very, very beginning of the season. There is an opportunity. That door is open for somebody to take this league. And of course, the team you look to is Atletico Madrid as the third power in this league. And it's all clicking right now. This, to me, very much feels like those teams that were so good, making a Champions League final, winning La Liga. And there's just something has clicked. Starting with that win over Liverpool, because it kind of came out of nowhere. They were not good last season. You always knew they had the ability to put in that kind of performance in the Champions League. But since then, they've been among the best teams in the world and one of the more consistent, which is saying something considering the way things have gone this season. First loser is actually a player, and that is Nicola Pepe. I don't do this very often, but it was a rough weekend for him. And the reason that I wanted to highlight this is the ramifications going forward. So Mikel Arteta gives him this rare start after Pepe's been publicly sort of complaining about his playing time, saying he wants to start, he wants to play more. And he gets baited into a red card. So now you got to deal with the suspension. But the larger ramifications here are important on a couple different fronts. First of all, clearly Arteta has very little trust in him, which is a massive problem for this guy that's supposed to be one of your star players that you spent all this money to bring in, and your manager won't even start him. He doesn't trust him. And Arteta is a guy that has no tolerance for guys he don't feel are committed, guys he doesn't think are completely invested. That's been very clearly seen in his time as manager. So now you're getting to the point where this is just not a tenable relationship moving forward. So what do you do? Unless something dramatically changes, you can't. He's going to turn into the next Mesut Ozil, and maybe not to that extreme where he's completely frozen out. But Arteta's not going to play him for the sake of playing him, especially when he does reward him and gives him an opportunity, and this is the way that Pepe handles it. And this is the result. And this team, part of the reason he started is because this team can't score goals. They need him right now. He offers them something different. He's got an ability to create chances that your other guys up front who are more goal-scoring focused don't always have. And Aubameyang just can't put the ball in the net right now. This is big-time ramifications from my perspective. This is not just about one game. This is just not just about him getting a red card. I don't know if he can ever get back in Arteta's good graces, if he was even there to begin with. But I don't think this is something that can be repaired. Which means either something needs to dramatically change, or you're probably taking a loss because you got to get him out of there. You can't just continue to pay him if you're not going to use him. I just really feel like he hurt himself, and it puts Arsenal in an even worse position than they already are with their inability to score right now. Now you got to deal with the sort of the internal part of this, and the reality that he was out there asking to play more, and he got to play more, and this is what happened. Winner number 2, AC Milan. It's just to the point where you really can't argue with what they're doing. I said before this game, I wanted to see them deliver against a high-quality opponent one more time, and boy, did they ever. Zlatan scores twice, gives him control of this game. Now, he did leave with a muscle injury. At his age, in this season, with all of the condensed scheduling, definitely something to keep an eye on. It's a concern. They're clearly not the same team when he's not available. So maybe that changes the complexion of Serie A a little bit if he's even out a couple weeks. But if this isn't a long-term thing and they can survive, I'm willing to put them as the favorites now. Dries Mertens makes it 2-1, but then 2 minutes later, Timothy Bakayoko gets sent off. So AC Milan can see things out pretty comfortably. They're 2 points up on Sassuolo and at least 3 clear of everybody else. They are just consistently getting the job done, and I was really curious to see, and I think I mentioned this, what happened after Lille handled them. They hit a little bit of a rough spot. How would they respond? And they respond in absolutely convincing fashion. As long as Ibrahimovic is not out long term, I don't think you can look anywhere else as your favorite in Serie A right now. The other side of the equation is our second loser, which is Atalanta. I've been putting here a lot lately, but it's just been disappointing, and there's a specific reason this week. They get shut out, which is a massive concern for them more than just about any other team in the world because they're so reliant on scoring goals. But the defense held up. But they dropped points in a week where AC Milan, Sassuolo, Roma, Juventus, Inter, and Lazio all win, and the only reason Napoli didn't is because both them and AC Milan couldn't win. Now they're down to 7th in the table. Maybe I just put too much stock in this team, and it's still early. There's no reason to freak out. But I've mentioned this before, they're just not scoring the way that they were last season, which is a massive concern. And you're looking at a scenario where if these teams start performing the way that we expect them to, Roma have been really good recently. Sassuolo are just continuing to beat people. So it's to the point where you got to show them respect and consider them in contention for the Champions League spots. Juventus is sort of starting to turn things around. Inter scored a bunch of goals after going down. There are some... We knew that they're... And Lazio is also really starting to get into a good form. There just aren't a lot of spots available here. And Atalanta has not proven yet that they're able to perform when the stakes are raised and you're not just kind of taking advantage of the down seasons from everybody else. I really thought they would be right in the mix, and they're still not out of it. They're right there. The margins between these teams are still very thin. But they're in danger with a couple more bad results and a couple more weeks where everybody else is winning of really putting themselves in a bad position. So they are my loser based not only on what happened with them, but the consequences and the context of what happened overall in Italy this weekend. Third winner, Borussia Dortmund. All of a sudden, you go from having to chase Bayern Munich, which is something that has not happened in the recent past, to, yes, you're still behind, but you're just a point back. Just like that, they made up most of the ground that they lost in that Der Klassiker. It is a massive confidence boost and a massive mental boost to not have to continue to feel this pressure where if Bayern would have reeled off 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 straight wins coming out of their Klassiker, it could have really messed with Dortmund's confidence. But they draw. Erling Haaland scores 4 times in their 5-2 win over Hertha Berlin. So they're just a point back, like I said, and this title race is back on. I didn't think we were going to have a situation where it was going to get competitive again this quickly. And of course, by definition, it was never not competitive. It's not like they were 8 points back or something. But I think there's a real mental aspect to this that we need to pay attention to. And so Dortmund's ability to respond with a convincing win and to have Bayern drop points right away. Really, really big deal, in my opinion. I don't think we can undersell the value of this. So it's always great when Haaland scores 4. But I really think this makes them feel like they're back in the race. That you lose again to Bayern. Now you're looking up at them in the table. And you know you're not going to win on goal difference. So that means you got to find ways to gain points somewhere else. And all of a sudden they just did. So now if they can keep pace, you've got one game, one opportunity. If you can find a way to win that, you've got a real chance to win this league again. On the flip side of this, loser number 3 is Red Bull Leipzig. 1-1 draw with Eintracht Frankfurt. Drops them to 4th in the table. Again, it's still close. No need to panic or freak out. But there was an opportunity here. And they were right there with Dortmund, and yeah, they still are if you look at the table. But if you're trying to stay within striking distance of Bayern, especially when Bayern is ahead of you, anytime Bayern drop points, you have to pick up all 3. And so Leipzig weren't able to do that. That's really why I have them as my loser. And why Dortmund was a winner. You just got to be able to capitalize. It's that big of a deal when Bayern don't win. That's how small your margin of error is. Because, like I said, you're not winning on goal difference. Good luck trying to beat them head to head. Bayern are really good at rising to the occasion. You got to take advantage of every little opportunity that they give you. Dortmund were able to. Leipzig weren't. Therefore, one's a winner and one's a loser. So that's our winners and losers from this week. We're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to do a special Tuesday edition of What's Next because there's so much happening these next couple days. MLS playoffs tonight and, of course, Champions League. So we're going to talk about all of that coming up next. Don't go anywhere.